Brother Khairi Jamaluddin Abu Bakar, former Minister of Health of Malaysia, accompanied by Tuan Muhammad Zaid Muhammad Ibrahim, Principal, Setiabudi Secondary School. Our moderator, Brother Muhammad Ashraf Hakimi bin Zaid, Dr. Shamshina Muhammad Hanifa, Principal Mahala Sumaya, respected fellows, brothers and sisters, to our in auditorium. Please remain standing. Now, brothers and sisters, let us stand for the singing of National Anthem Negaraku, IIUM song leading the way, and Mahala Sumaya anthem. Tafadhal.
Share the wisdom through the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason. We shall excel, we shall prevail. Merging faith and knowledge with the Khalifa, we will fulfill the Amanah.
A flag high, sky high, and raise the pride in our heart.
Brothers and sisters, please remain standing. I would like to invite Brother Muhammad Wafiuddin bin Azizi to lead the recitation of Rukun Negara. Tafadhal mashkura.
Up. Maka kami, rakyat Malaysia, berikrar menumpukan seluruh tenaga dan usaha kami untuk mencapai cita-cita tersebut berdasarkan atas prinsip-prinsip yang berikut. Kepercayaan kepada Tuhan, kesetiaan kepada raja dan negara, keluhuran perlembagaan, kedaulatan undang-undang, kesopanan dan kesusilaan. Up.
Brothers and sisters, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, lend me your ears, lend me your eyes, and behold our video montage for today's program. Alright. How are you guys feeling? Good? Alright. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, brothers and sisters. Welcome to our most awaited program. What's up, Broski KJ? Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. As we are showered today with His blessings in having today's event. I am Shamsul Haris and I'll be your master of ceremony for tonight's wonderful event. Together with us, I would like to bid the heartiest welcome to Yang Berbahagia Brother Khairi Jamaluddin bin Abu Bakar, former Minister of Health of Malaysia, Tuan Muhammad Zaid Muhammad Ibrahim, Principal of Setiabudi Secondary School, and our moderator, Brother Ashraf Hakimi bin Muhammad Zaid. And also, Dr. Shamshina Muhammad Hanifa, Principal Mahalah Sumayah, respected fellows, and also all of you, brothers and sisters, who are willing to spend your time tonight in our auditorium. So without further ado, let's begin our program tonight with the recitation of dua. I would like to invite Brother Muhammad Faris Haikal to recite the dua to bless our program. Tafadhal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Let's start our program tonight with the recitation of Ummul Kitab Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahilladzi bini'matihi tatimmas salihat. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulina al-amin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Praise be to the God, the Lord of the world. Peace and blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, and for those who followed his example to the judgment day. Ya Allah, Ya Fattah, Ya Alim, on this blessed night, in conjunction with our program tonight, we beseech Thee, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Praise be to the God, the Lord of the world. Peace and blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, and for those who followed his example to the judgment day. Ya Allah, Ya Fattah, Ya Alim. On this blessed night, in conjunction with our program tonight, we beseech thee and grateful toward you in favor of all the infinite blessing to us. Your humble servant, to live in safe and prosperous life. We seek your blessing for a flawless progress of this event from the beginning till the end. We seek your guidance to steer clear of events that would detrimental the progress of this event. Ya Latif, Ya Rahman, please bless us with your tawfiq and hidayat. Please guide International Islamic University Malaysia to greatness, peace, glory and prosperity in this world and the hereafter. Grant us with a valuable knowledge that will be beneficial to mankind in order to gain your mardatillah. Allahumma ja'al jama'ana haza jama'an marhuma wa tafarruqna min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'alillahumma fina wa la man yatba'una wa la shakiyan wa la matrudan wa la mahruma. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Brother Muhammad Faris Haikal. May our event be blessed by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. All right, brothers and sisters, before we begin and before we go on with our next agenda, I think everyone today in this hall knew that today is 16th of May, 2024. May I ask, do you know what today means? What is it? Teachers' Day. So have you wished your teachers? Yeah, seems like you have not wished them yet. So now let us wish our teachers Happy Teachers' Day. In Bahasa Melayu, we often said that guru ibarat lilin yang membakar dirinya untuk menerangi hidup orang lain. And I hope that you guys would appreciate your teachers more as they give you such so many knowledge to all of you. And I think tonight, our teacher would be KJ himself. And he will teach you many things, and I think you should take as much as you can from our beloved Kari Jamaluddin. All right? So, what is today's program actually? The topic is What's Up Broski KJ? Many people ask me, so what's the talk is about? I also don't know what to say actually, because there are too many questions, but the main theme is the marketability of graduates. That is one thing that is most spoken about, reassessing our tertiary education system and also proposing reforms. So KJ will talk to us about our marketability in the future. So you need to ask him questions about that after he gave you his opinions, suggestions, and knowledge about these issues as well. So the objective of this program, empower students to take ownership of their career development and employability, increase awareness of importance of developing marketable skills, promote lifelong learning, offer practical advice and strategies improving those marketability areas. So now you've known already what it's all about. Let's proceed with the next agenda. So it is my greatest honor to invite Dr. Shamshina Muhammad Hanifa, Principal of Mahala Sumaya, to deliver her opening speech. Please welcome.
If no one answers when you knock, then build your own door. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What's Up Broski KJ. First of all, thank you to Honorable Speaker, Mr. Khairi Jamaluddin, distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Muhammad Zaid, Muhammad Ibrahim, Principal of Sekolah Menengah Setia Budi, Sister Hakimah Sakinah, the initiator of Mahala Sumayah Talk Show since 2022, Ali Shahana, the program manager, Sister Nur Fatihah Shahail, President of Mahala Sumayah Representative Committee, MRC as a whole, respected fellows, ladies and gentlemen. What it takes to be a graduate that employers are looking for, ladies and gentlemen. Last week, we engaged in length about how education should be, discussion on tertiary education and its framework. So today, we are sitting here with the esteemed Mr. Khairi Jamaluddin to talk about marketability and employability of graduates along with issues revolving around it. Graduating is amazing. You finally acquired one more certificate. But the next morning, when you wake up, who are you? Who do you want to be? Will you secure a job? I believe this concept is related with the discussion on university's syllabus, as they both are from the same root, which is belief, that will produce different colors of fruits, but of the same nature, which is to create a better society by different means. You need to get a job, not just because you have to eat for lunch, but because you need to give back to society. I believe we should not be someone who only comes and returns from work. At the end of the day, it goes back to the belief, notion, principles, ideas, falsafah, kepercayaan, in order to be a better human that will make you deemed as having employability qualities. The rest you will hear from Mr. KJ himself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending tonight's event. Please enjoy.
Thank you, Dr. Shamshina, for that wonderful opening remarks for all of us. Now, I would like to start with the opening gimmick for tonight's event. Yes, we have a gimmick, yeah, actually. So, I would like to invite Yang Berhormat Khairi Jamaluddin and also Tuan Muhammad Zaid Muhammad Ibrahim, accompanied by Sister Alisha, Program Manager, also by Dr. Shamshina, to complete the gimmick tonight on the stage. Tafadhal. Applause, guys. So brothers and sisters, students, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see on the stage, we have two things there. We have the board there with the poster What's Up Broski KJ, and we have a surprise box in there. So let's see, we'll start by signing the board first, am I right? Okay. So KJ will sign the board. All right. The first step is done. So the second step, let's look. What's inside the box? Huh? Surprise. 1, 2, 3. Oh, what was that? Uish, naik lah. Oh. Ah, that's it. Okay, wonderful. All right. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to ask for KJ, Khairi Jamaluddin, to stay on stage and sit on the panelist seat. Now, I would like to invite Brother Ashraf Hakimi, our moderator, to join KJ on the stage. All right. Actually, brothers and sisters, before I give the floor to Brother Muhammad Ashraf Hakimi, I would like to introduce KJ, and also I would like to introduce Brother Ashraf Hakimi. Do you think I need to introduce KJ to you? Some say yes, some say no. Oh, why no? Okay, wait. One question. Okay, I wanted to ask a few questions to you. First question. Do you know KJ? Of course, okay. All right. Second question. Have you come to the event where KJ and Shahril Hamdan is here last year? Some said yes, some said no. Why no? I also don't know. Yeah, I also don't come to the event. Okay. The third question. Do you watch Keluar Sekejap? There you go. Give a round of applause to all of you. Okay, please, I'm begging you now. Please don't make KJ feels like he and Brother Ashraf is talking alone to the wall. Please, when they have done with their sharing sessions, you need to ask questions. That is why I ask from all of you. Brothers, are you ready? Yes. Can't hear you clearly. Okay, so many of you inside this hall, but 1, 2 people only are saying out loud. Are you ready? Yes. Good. Brothers. Okay, next. Sisters, are you ready? Yes. All right. Now, before we begin, okay, let us introduce KJ for a while, although you know him already. Khairi Jamaluddin, prominent Malaysian political figure, diverse career, Minister of Youth and Sports, Menteri Belia dan Sukan, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Minister of Health. COVID-19 response, he is the one in charge with your vaccination process. So, have you guys taken your vaccine? Any anti-vaxxers here? Of course, you won't admit, right? So, thank you to Khairi Jamaluddin to ease your process 2-3 years ago. Thank you very much. All right. Next, recently transitioned into content creation after he keluar sekejap from his beloved party UMNO. So, he actively engages with his audience through multiple platforms, including YouTube and TikTok. Hosted a popular podcast called Keluar Sekejap with former UMNO Information Chief Shahril Hamdan. Many political issues, platform for open discussion, and I think reached 100 episodes already, right, Brother KJ? Right? All right, very good. So now, next, our moderator, Brother Muhammad Ashraf Hakimi bin Zaid, originating from Teluk Intan, Perak, memorized 30 juzu of Al-Quran at Ma'had Tahfiz wa Dirasa Islamiyah Mawaddah. Pursued education, law, IIUM, I call of course, first class honors, Dean's List all semesters in IIUM. Named the best graduate valedictorian of IIUM convocation last year. Actively representing University IIUM actually during his years here, Law Asia Muting 2021-2023, Coach for National Arbitration Training 2022, International Malay Language Auditory Competition Pidato Alam Melayu 2022, and Penghujahan Mahkamah National Level 2024. Now, pursuing a double degree program, bachelor's degree in Sharia law, same time also obtaining a professional certificate qualification in Islamic finance and banking. Unbelievable. Yeah, so the best moderator for KJ tonight. A round of applause to him. Before I give him the floor, do you know what's the best part? He is a part of the legal team, correct me if I'm wrong, of the My Aqsa Foundation that submitted legal arguments to bring Zionist Israel to the International Court of Justice. There you go. Actions, actions, not just words. So thank you, Brother Ashraf, for your efforts and your jihad, inshallah. Okay, I think I need to do this. It's a must. Can we recite Al-Fatiha for our brothers in Palestine, Gaza and Rafah especially? Al-Fatiha. Thank you very much. Okay, now, here's how it goes. 6 questions will be asked by Brother Ashraf to KJ. 3 questions first, and then we'll have a short break in between, then 3 other questions, and then it's your turn to ask the questions. Are you guys ready? Good. All right. So, Brother Ashraf, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to the MC, Principal of Mahallah Sumayah, Dr. Shamsina Hanifa, the Principal of Setia Budi Secondary School, Tuan Muhammad Zaid bin Muhammad Ibrahim, brothers and sisters from IIUM, and also I have been informed that tonight we have students from other universities. Welcome to IIUM. Welcome to What's Up Broski KJ. Brothers and sisters, of course, together with us tonight, our speaker, who needs no introduction actually. He was graduated with bachelor's degree in philosophy, politics, and economics from Oxford University. Completed his master in legal and political theory at UCL. For brothers, UCL here is not referring to UEFA Champions League, but it's University College of London. He was appointed as the minister for a few times. Minister of Youth and Sport, 2013 until 2018. Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, MOSTI, 2020 until 2021. And the ministry that has contributed to us the most, especially during COVID-19, Minister of Health, 2021 until 2022. After the election in 2022, some people predict that his career gonna end, but he has proven his status wrong. Because in fact, his name is more popular these days. Currently, he is one of the board members of one of the members of the board and youth advisor at JDT, as well as visiting senior fellows at ICS, Yusof Ishaq Institute, a radio presenter, a podcaster for podcast #1 in Malaysia, Keluar Sekejap. Well, some people might call him the real definition of tall, dark, and handsome. And by sitting beside him, I can approve that. Brothers and sisters, give big round of applause to our speakers tonight, Tuan Khairi Jamaluddin. And just 5 days ago, he has been named as member of India-based Fisher Medical Ventures Limited Board. Congratulations, Tuan Khairi. And usually in Keluar Sekejap, Tuan Khairi invites speakers and bombard them with lots of question, right? But tonight, the position changed. We are the one who will ask him lots of questions. Agree or not? But before I'm going further, Tuan Khairi, if I may ask, previously people call you YB. In Hot FM, people call you as Chip. But since you are coming to IIUM, we have one culture here that we will address everyone as brother and sister. So tonight, you are officially my brother, our brother, so that's why we will call you Bro KJ. Are you okay with that?
Dah ada Broski KJ tu. I have no choice, right? I mean.
All right, we'll proceed then. Bro KJ. Representing the organizer tonight, Mahallah Sumayah and IIUM, we are very honored to have you as our speaker tonight, especially since we have the experience being appointed as the minister for a few times, KBS, MOSTI, and KKM. So tonight we have prepared few questions for you that is related to the issue of youth, students, and employability. So perhaps tonight we could get some insight from you. If we could also get some piece of advice from you as students. So now, if you are ready, can we start with the first question? All right, now, I would like to start the first question with the issue of students and employability in Malaysia. Bro KJ, in 2022, Malaysia has produced 5.92 million of graduates. But unfortunately, the fate and the future of these graduates are very uncertain. And not to mention at this time, some industries require work-ready graduates with employability skills to thrive and meet the industry demand. Now, in your opinion, what is the current state of students' employability in Malaysia? Is it plummeting stage, stagnant, or perhaps getting better? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Brother Ashraf. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Samsina, Principal of Mahala Sumaya, all the invited guests, brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah. It is once again a tremendous honor for me to be back at the campus of the International Islamic University of Malaysia. The last time I was here was in this very auditorium where my co-host, Sharil Hamdan, and myself performed one of our episodes to a sellout audience. Well, not sellout, full audience. You didn't pay for the ticket. But it's always good to be back in IIUM. Some of you may know this. Most of you will not know this. In 2015, when I was the Minister of Youth and Sports for Malaysia, they had assigned every minister to become a minister mentor or mentor minister assigned to each IPTA, each public university. I don't know whether it was deliberate, but the Minister of Higher Education at that time, if I'm not mistaken, that was Sri Idris Jusso, assigned IIUM to me, and I was the mentor minister here for 2 to 3 years. I came here a few times, I spoke to the students here, and although I'm not a graduate of IIUM, this place has a special place in my heart, and I'm very fond of IIUM as a public university. So every time I get an invitation from IIUM, I try my best to attend, and thank you once again for inviting me here tonight. And thank you for providing me with such a tremendous moderator, Brother Ashraf. You are someone who has achieved a lot, and I pray for your continued success, inshallah. Now, let's get to the topic of discussion tonight. And coincidentally, it's something that we had spoken about in a previous episode of our podcast, Keluar Sekejap. Perhaps last week, Sharil and I did a live show at UCSI, one of the private universities here. And we spoke at length about the issue of higher education and the issue of employability of graduates in Malaysia. I asked my researchers to provide me with some context about what's happening, because I don't like to talk without facts. I like to talk based on actual facts rather than just what I feel or what people have told me, anecdotal evidence. When we talk, we must talk based on actual hard facts. I'm going to lead with two, which I think are important facts, and then we will get on to some other supplementary facts which I think can guide the discussion tonight. Before we go on to the facts that I want to introduce, I want to explain one thing, and that is the concept of unemployed and underemployed. Some of you will know this, some of you may not know this. Unemployed means you can't get a job. Normally, most tracer studies that are used by universities and the Ministry of Higher Education will check whether you are either employed or you are furthering your studies within 6 months of graduation. And if you are in one of those two categories, you are not considered as unemployed. Unemployed means you don't have a job. If within 6 months of graduation, and different studies have different duration post-graduation of when you should get a job, normally it's 6 months, then you are considered as unemployed. Unemployed means you have no job. It means you are not a gig worker, you're not employed by any company, you've not joined the civil service, you are not doing anything. So that's unemployed. And underemployed is another concept altogether. That means you are employed, but what you are doing is not commensurate with your degree. In Malay, pekerjaan yang you dapat tu tidak setimpal dengan kelayakan yang you dapat di university. That means you are underemployed. You should not be doing that job, basically. for what you have studied at university, the amount of money that you have invested in your education, especially your higher education, and you come out and you get a job that's not commensurate or that's not, you're overqualified for that job. So that's an important distinction that I want you to remember as we continue this conversation tonight. But coming back to Ashraf's point, the first statistic that I want you to remember, and this is a study that was published by, based on a tracer study done by the Ministry of Higher Education, 4 out of 10 Malaysian graduates are underemployed. They feel that they are in jobs for which they are overqualified. So they did a degree, but they are in a job where you don't need that particular degree to be doing that job. So because of that, they have frustrations. Because of that, they feel frustrated, they feel angry. I have spent all this time, 4 years at university, taking a degree. That degree was not easy to achieve. I worked very, very hard to get that degree. I had to take a loan because just on my parents' income, perhaps, we could not afford it. So I have ended up taking a loan from PTPTN and maybe other sources as well, and I have to pay back that loan. But I'm employed in a job which I did not expect to get when I graduated from university. So 4 out of 10. The other statistic that I want you to remember is this, because I'm going to talk about demand side and supply side. But before I explain what that is, consider this statistic. 300,000 young Malaysians graduate from universities every year, degrees, yeah, more or less, kurang lebih 300,000. And yet every year, we only produce 50,000 additional skilled jobs in Malaysia. Now that's the demand side that we want to talk about, yeah? So that means, what does that mean? That means that 300,000 minus 50,000, that means 250,000, roughly, are either underemployed or they have to wait for vacancies, for people to move up, be promoted before they can fill in the vacancies, because the economy is not creating enough skilled jobs for the graduates who are coming out of university. Of course, some of those graduates will end up becoming self-employed. Some of those graduates will do business. Some of those graduates will do gig work. Some of those graduates will end up applying for postgrad, doing masters, PhD, and whatnot. But you get the point. You get the point that there's a huge difference between the numbers of jobs, skilled jobs that are being created. Skilled, maksudnya, meaning jobs which require a degree. Jobs with enough complexity that only someone with a degree or an advanced diploma will be able to do. That's the definition of a skilled job. Only 50,000. And you have about 300,000 coming out of universities every year. So now, the point here is that you have a problem, both supply side and demand side. Let me explain. Supply side is what comes out of university. We have to ask the hard question, are universities producing the right kind of graduates? Some of you may say yes, of course, otherwise you won't be here. Otherwise you wouldn't have worked hard during SPM matriculation to earn your place at one of the best universities in Malaysia, IIUM, and taken out a loan and be in debt, potentially, student debt, to get to university. So we have to have an honest discussion tonight about the supply side, which is at university. Are we providing the universities the opportunity and the resources to create the right kind of graduates, one. Secondly, the demand side. Demand side is the economy growing at a rate where it is creating enough quality jobs, enough high-skilled jobs to absorb the output from the supply side, which is the universities. It's simple. That's essentially the formula that I want you guys to think about tonight as we go through the different issues. Now, let me share with you some other statistics that I think are very important for us to bear in mind as we discuss tonight. The percentage of graduates who are in jobs which are considered informal jobs, the informal economy, and this includes gig economy, yeah? This means that you are not in a contracted long-term job with a company or the government or civil service, has gone up from 8.6% in 2013 to 15.8% in 2021. This is, of course, because, as I said, people have to work. And because the economy, the formal economy, is not creating enough jobs, people end up working in the informal economy. And there are many, many reasons why this is okay, because we cannot look at the informal economy as something bad. People have to work, but there are long-term consequences. If you start doing gig work, is there social security? Are you contributing for your pension eventually? Because we know that most gig workers don't contribute to EPF, so there's a problem down the line. What is the career path of someone who does gig work? If you start becoming a Grab driver today, you may still be a Grab driver in 5 years. There's no career progression, so it is a problem. The other thing that I wanted to also let you know regarding the demand side is the number of skilled jobs that have been created is 25%, but we need it to rise to about 35%. This was the problem that I mentioned earlier. Now, the number of skilled jobs have come down, and the other statistic that I wanted to share with you is the fact that more people, more young people, are starting to have doubts about higher education. Because if you look at the economic forecast for 2024, tinjauan ekonomi bagi tahun 2024, 71.1% of graduates yang bekerja, that start working, memperolehi gaji di bawah RM2,000 sebulan. Less than RM2,000 a month. So I want to express that problem to you. If that is the scenario, and we'll go into the reforms later, I think Brother Ashraf will push me on what I've sketched the problem. Now after this we want to talk about the solution. If you think about that maybe not 70%, that's the report, that's based on the economic forecast report, but if you imagine that that's true, 70% come out of university and end up getting a job where the starting salary is less than RM2,000, what does that say about higher education? Do you think that young people, your younger brothers and sisters who are at SPM today, do you think they want to aspire to go to university? The answer is no, because they're looking at their older brothers and sisters going to university, taking on a debt of 30, 40, 50, some even 100,000, depending on the faculty that you go to for PTPTN, only to end up with a starting salary of RM2,000. There is a problem there. There's a problem with the demand side. We'll get to some of the solutions later. But you can understand that tonight we are talking not just about your marketability, but we are also talking about a crisis in higher education in Malaysia, where the unwritten social contract that we promise young people when they go to ivory towers in Malaysia, overseas, is that you spend 4 years, 3 to 4 years of your lives studying hard for a degree, and the country and the economy will reward you with a job that is fulfilling, that pays you based on your qualification, and that has a career pathway that is good for you. And that is missing right now. So coming back to Ashraf's original question, which is, what do I think of marketability of students? Yes, there are issues on the supply side, and we'll go into that later. The hard skills that you have, what kind of graduates that we want to see in the marketplace. But there is also a demand side problem. Maknanya, you cannot just say the problem is with the students. If I came here tonight and tell you that the problem is just with you, then you would have a very, very nasty evening tonight. The problem is shared, because I think the economy is not growing in the right way to absorb you. So we have to do something to restructure the economy so that it's able to create opportunities for you. It's not your fault, and it's not your fault alone. There are many things that we can improve at universities to make sure that you are more marketable, but to say that it's your fault, to say that you're not confident, you don't have the right skills, I think that's to ignore something that many policymakers and politicians have been ignoring, that the economy simply is not working for you, and we must change that.
Thank you very much, Brother KJ. So, Brother KJ has highlighted here that the issue of marketability is not just the issue of unemployment, but also underemployment. And 4 out of 10 graduates in Malaysia, as mentioned by Brother KJ just now, are underemployed. So, Brother KJ, I'm really interested when you mention on the status of students' marketability in Malaysia right now. And though university is not a factory to produce workers and employees, but the reality is we are trying hard to meet the market demands. Now, it is argued that students' employability is not a linear and a fixed framework. Rather, it must be aligned with the market demand. Can you enlighten us what are actually the values that we are referring to right now, and how it is relevant to this market?
So most best-in-class universities, and I can say with conviction that IIUM is a best-in-class university, one of the top universities in Malaysia, will regularly try to align the experience that you get here with market expectations. So every year, for instance, Talent Corp Malaysia, which is an agency under the Ministry of Human Resources, will produce what is known as a critical occupation list. So what is the COL under the Talent Corp? The critical occupation list produced by Talent Corp Malaysia adalah senarai, is a list of jobs which this country needs critically. So it goes all the way from CEOs all the way to things like welding specialists who are needed in scaffolding, for instance, in oil and gas, that specific level. Most best-in-class universities will continue to look at the critical occupation list and update their offering based on the COL. Of course, I'll come to the purpose of the university later, but one of the important functions of a university is to prepare students for working life. There are other functions of a university, tetapi one of the most important functions of a university, especially in a developing country like Malaysia, is that we prepare you for the working environment. So most best-in-class universities will continue to upgrade their curriculum, continue to add additional courses for you to be able to meet the demands of jobs that are critically needed in Malaysia. And that's being done, I think, every year. It depends on the university. Some universities are better than others. IIUM has been around for a long time. You have a wonderful faculty. You have reasonably good resources in terms of funding, and you have a great campus and great facilities, so you're able to do that. Some universities may not be able to adapt as quickly as needed by the marketplace, especially when there are tremendous change in the working environment. So most best-in-class universities now will, for instance, start introducing implications of artificial intelligence on the job that they are teaching you for. What AI can do for engineering students, what AI can do for medical students, what AI can potentially do for social sciences as well in terms of research. So that those corrections along the way, course corrections along the way are happening, and that's important. But let me come to what I think universities are also for. And this speaks to Dr. Shamsina's wonderful introductory remarks. The university is not just the place to make sure that you can be absorbed by the job place, but it's a place for you to build your character. And I want to focus on four things, and four things that I think are needed by students to go out there. And if I'm an employer, and I'm an employer now who regularly hires fresh graduates, I look for these things in graduates. One is, of course, your core competency. That is, whatever it is that you are studying. So if you are studying law, I want to know that you are actually a good law student, that you've understood well what you've studied for, and you understand its application when you become a lawyer. If you are studying, for instance, engineering, medical student, the professional, the traditional professions, I want to make sure that you know your stuff, because you have to sign off on structures later on. You have to save lives in the operating theater. We want to make sure that you know your stuff. Same goes to graduates of social sciences and humanities. So I think the core knowledge of your subject is the first and foremost purpose of you being in university. Also important are skills that you need to be a contributing member of the economy. What are these things? This goes beyond your core knowledge of your subject. I've met a lot of people who have graduated with first-class honors, with 4 flat plus CGPA, valedictorian, best student in their faculty, but when they graduate, something is not quite right in terms of other skills that I want to see them have. And what are these skills? These skills are not just your communication skills. And I start with communication because I always hear this. Graduates don't know how to talk, they fail the interview. But it's more than just communications. It's also resourcefulness. I don't want to have to tell you to do something 10 times. As an employer, I'm looking for someone who will do something without me having to say it. I can say it once, but I don't like to repeat myself. And these are employers. You have to understand, employers, managers, supervisors are busy. They don't just supervise you, they supervise several people. And they're looking at the overall health of the business or the organization. So they want a worker who's resourceful enough on day one to understand that I'm joining this organization. This organization's true north is to become the best company in this segment, to have X million turnover within next year. And this is my job as marketing manager. This is my job as graduate trainee to make sure it happens. And I don't need to be told multiple times on what to do. That kind of resourcefulness, you should start getting at university. If you're getting it outside of university, that's when you start getting the problem where employers will say, oh, the graduates are not employable. And I don't think that's true. I think you can do that. I've seen you guys. I've seen graduates of Malaysian university students. You're capable of doing that. It was whether or not the university is encouraging that kind of training to happen. What are the other skills? Resourcefulness, communication. EQ is such an important skill. When I started work, I really underrated EQ. I didn't feel that it was important. I just felt it was important that you were smart. If you were smart, then that's all that counts. But the longer I worked, and the longer I worked in bigger organizations, and my last job in government was for one of the biggest ministries in government, the health ministry, which employs hundreds and thousands of people. You need to know how to manage people. People-to-people interaction is so important, and it's such an underrated skill. And this is how you motivate people. This is how you deal with other people in an organization. This is how you manage conflict between individuals. These things can be trained and simulated at university. And it's very important for you to have this when you come out. I want to see somebody, when I interview a person, who's able to manage other people. If you can't manage other people, then you're no good to me, no matter how smart you are. So these are some of the skills that I would include, and some people call them soft skills. I hate that term, soft skills. It's as though it's soft. It's as though it's not important. It's as though it's secondary. Some people call it smart skills. Better. I don't know what they're called, you know. Syariel kata kemahiran insaniah. Okay lah, we go with that term. So these are as important as knowing your thought, knowing your jurisprudence, knowing your Sharia law. It's also important that you are somebody who is resourceful, who can communicate well, who can prioritize time management, who's able to manage other people. Important. 2. 3, I want somebody who has a purpose in life. This is what a doctor said just now in his speech. That means that in university, you have to figure out what your purpose in life is. You cannot be somebody without a purpose in life. You have to be consequential. Even our religion tells us that we have to contribute something. We have to contribute something to society. And that must be your purpose in life. Your purpose in life can be that I want to be an entrepreneur. that generates jobs for people. I want to be an entrepreneur that starts a sustainable, green business. You have a purpose in life. And those big questions in life you have to start thinking about in university. University is the place for you to start thinking about, what is my purpose? What do I want to leave behind when I leave this world? Of course, not everyone is going to be a Nobel Prize winner, but in your own way, you can leave an imprint that you have been somebody who had a purpose in life. Have a consequential life. Don't have a life that is devoid of meaning and consequence. Even if that consequence is just to a small group of people, a small group of friends, a small group of colleagues and employees, just to your family. But you must live a consequential life, and that purpose is something that you find in university, because this is the place where you listen to views that you've never come across while you were at secondary school and while you were growing up. And the last thing, and this is so important, increasingly important in today's world, is kindness. I think that kindness, again, is an underrated underrated characteristic, virtue to have. I think we are becoming an increasingly toxic and mean society. And you don't want to end up being in a toxic and mean workplace. I say this because I came from the Ministry of Health. And I had to commission a report because there was a case where one of the houseman officers jumped from the building and killed himself. And although we concluded that that had nothing to do with bullying, but because of public pressure, when I was minister, I commissioned a report to study whether or not workplace culture was toxic at the Ministry of Health. Concluded that it wasn't generally toxic, but there were departments and there were elements where there was excessive, overbearing supervision, some bullying, and a toxic workplace. So I want to make sure that we have kind people, and that is compassion, kindness, what Prime Minister calls rahmah, is so important, and it's something that I think that you can nurture in university. Sorry.
Thank you, Brother KJ. Following your response regarding the values need to be instilled, need to be reformed, to be improved, specifically when you mention the 4 values, core competency, managing people's skills, purpose in life, and also kindness. Now, the next question will be, how? How actually we can produce those kind of graduates? Is it by reforming our university syllabus? Though I understand that in Keluar Sekejap you always give constructive criticism to the government. Or is there any other way for us to approach on this matter?
I mean, curriculum can be adapted from time to time. I don't like to see wholesale curriculum change all the time because it confuses a lot of people. But I think that you have to stay ahead of changes, and especially faculties which are involved with things that change all the time, technology for instance. You have to make sure that you are ahead of the curve of advancement and change, for sure. But I think what can improve is perhaps the structure of experience that you have in university. So previously, many years ago, this is long before you guys were in university, there was less emphasis on industry placement. And we realized that industry placement generally, I wouldn't say all the time, but generally helps employability. Because you're out there in the real world, you understand what a working place is, you absorb knowledge from outside the kuliah, outside your lecture halls, and you are able to understand the expectations of the real world. So I think a lot of that needs to happen. We have to drill down in detail and study what is the experience that you're getting when you go out there to do your industry placement. Is it worthwhile? Is it good? Or is it just ticking the box, saying that I've done my industry placement? Is it really something that adds value to you as a person? That when you go back to university and when you graduate, that few months that you are out there, 6 months or whatever it is of industry placement, really makes a difference to you and has added value to you. And that it demonstrates that you are a better student and a better graduate for that. 2 is to be able to add more experiences for you to read around your subject. I'm a big fan of reading around your subject. I believe that university is a great place for you to know about things around your subject. What do I mean by that? It means that if you're studying law, you should try to learn more than just law. Law is your degree, focus on law, that's your priority. Dari segi priority, keutamaan, that's your time, most of your time. But find the time to learn something else as well. Whether it's an additional course, whether it's micro-credentialing, whether it's an online course that you can get for free nowadays, try to spend some time on that. And you'd be surprised how much more rounded you can be as an individual when you actually decide to do something else. So I am a big fan of micro-credentialing, which is something that I would encourage you do if you have the time. And a lot of these courses now are free. So you just have to find the time to do it. Now, I'll give you an example. When I was Minister of Science and I was doing the COVID vaccination program, I enrolled into an online course. And I was doing that online course at night. So after I finished my job during the day, I would go back home and I would log on, and it was being done in the US. And I joined, 50 other people on behavioral science, something that had nothing to do with my original degree, economics. But I took behavioral science because I was interested in how to design choice architecture to encourage people to live healthier, to encourage people to take the COVID vaccine. So, I went for a course. And I think it's important that you do not restrict your university experience to just your kuliah, your faculty. You must be able to find the time to improve something, whether it's English, whether it's do a course on coding, whether it's a course on AI. As an employer, I'm looking for that. That interests me in your resume. If I see your resume is plain vanilla, okay, I might give you an interview if you are reasonably interesting. But if I see on your resume, your CV, that, wow, you have, you're obviously a good student at your Kuliah of Laws, and oh, wow, you also did micro-credentialing on the theory of music and behavior in early education amongst autistic children. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. I'll definitely call you for an interview. So as an employer, I'm not just looking at you, CV, which is plain vanilla, first class honors. I'm looking for cookies and cream. I'm looking for something interesting, a little spice on the side to say that this is somebody who's smart, who has something to say, who has purpose in life, and is interesting.
Thank you very much, Brother KJ. So, as promised earlier, after the third question, we will have short break session. With that, I pass back to the MC.
All right. Thank you, Brother Ashraf. Give a round of applause to KJ and Ashraf. How do you guys feel? Good? I can see some brothers behind sleeping already. Okay. Brothers, good? See, they are sleeping. All right. Sisters, are you good? All right. So now we actually, I think it's quite a short break. 2 to 3 minutes. I think KJ can drink some water. Ashraf can drink some water first. Relax, chill. You guys can also do the same. Who wants to go to the toilet? Do your thing there. All right. But now, actually, for our committees have presented you guys, we've prepared a drone actually. I don't know where is the drone actually. We have a drone that will be capturing our moments. I think KJ know what to say already, right? You have been told what to say, right? So the drone will be capturing KJ's face first in the front there, and then the drone will turn to all of you, and what you guys need to do is wave. Do you guys know what to do? Just do like this, wave, all right? KJ will say what he is asked to say, and you guys will wave, all right? And then we will continue with part 2, 3 more questions, Q&A session, photography, then voila, everything is done. Are you guys good? Please respond. Are you guys good? That's the spirit. Okay, may I welcome, where is the drone actually? Can I'm not seeing the drone. Oh, no. Oh, there's a drone. Okay. Sorry, my eyesight not that good tonight. Okay, that's a drone. Not yet, not yet. Don't clap yet. Don't clap yet. Okay. The drone will go to the front, right? If I'm not mistaken. Siapa control drone ni? Okay. So I think it will close up to KJ's face. Oh, see, okay, it's moving. To the front, not down there. Right? Okay, there you go. Okay, KJ. Ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Mahala Sumaya leading the way.
All right. Okay. Brothers and sisters, please, ready? Wave. All right. Most energetic wave you can give. All right. Mahala Sumaya leading the way. Okay. Dah habis dah? All right. Wish so fast go away, All right. Give a round of applause to all of you. Okay. Oh. All right. Okay. KJ is done with that. So, are you guys feeling better? Feeling better? Still feeling sleepy? If yes, please go out now. No? All right. So, Brother Ashraf and Brother KJ, are you guys ready to proceed with question number 4? Back to you.
All right, now, Brother KJ, I want to go deeper on this topic, especially regarding affirmative action on the group that has been discriminated. Now, when I did my research, I found out that you were actually someone who I can say as pro-affirmative action. For example, according to Malaysia Today, 2011, you mentioned that the change in affirmative action will help some of you understand that economic transformation is happening. This one before you were appointed as minister. Consistently, in 2018, if I may quote in verbatim, Pusat Komas applauds Minister of Youth and Sports, Khairi Jamaluddin's recent statement concerning the country's affirmative action policies. Now, I understand that these news are from different contexts, but my question is simple. Does the concept of affirmative action can still be applied in this situation, particularly one that favors women or people that disadvantage in general in employment as a form of representation managed to reduce discrimination in employment or help concerned parties climb the corporate ladder? What is your opinion on this matter?
In a perfect world, you don't need affirmative action. In a perfect world, everyone is judged by merit, and that's fine. But we don't live in a perfect world. That's the point. And I have consistently been pro-affirmative action because I believe that certain groups of people who are marginalized, who are underrepresented, must be helped so that they are represented better. And my belief of affirmative action is not to give people who are not qualified. My belief in affirmative action comes from a place where people who are qualified, but because they belong to a certain group, they are not given the chance that they deserve. So one particular example, and this is borne by statistics, are women. So if you go to most universities, most public universities, the ratio is heavily skewed towards women. Depends which university. I don't know what the ratio is in IIUM, but I suspect there are more girls than boys in the faculties. But when it comes to senior management in the workplace, it's the other way around. Dah terbalik. There are more men than women. And there are many reasons for this. But one of the big reasons is that women are not given adequate opportunities still in employment in Malaysia. And because of that, you need affirmative action. I remember we had an interview with Tan Sri Rafida Aziz recently, a few months back, and she was scolding me because she doesn't like affirmative action. She said that, she said if the women are smart enough, then they will get what they deserve. Not everyone is Tan Sri Rafida, that's the problem. And not everyone has that ability to break glass ceilings every day. Many women have to make very, very difficult choices between career and family. And when they go back to the workplace, they find it difficult to go back to the workplace. They lose seniority, or it's very difficult for them to find a way to balance family and workplace demands, employment demands, professional demands. So because of that, and because of many other reasons, there's an underrepresentation of women in companies and in organizations. And I want to also approach this, Ashraf, through another way. I believe that organizations thrive and are successful when they are diverse. If an organization is not diverse, I believe that it's not vibrant. I believe that it's not outward-looking, progressive, and doesn't get the experience, the benefit of diverse experience. So if you have a workplace that is not diverse, that is only a single ethnicity or gender, tak berapa diverse, I don't think that is a great workplace to be in. I tried to make it a point when I was appointed as minister that my own office, minister's office, Pejabat Menteri, had a good representation of gender, good representation of Malaysian background in terms of race, in terms of socioeconomic background, because I want different people to bring their experience to the job. So I'm a fan of affirmative action. I think it's important. I don't think that you should have blanket affirmative action just for the sake of representation. I think that representation has to mean something. I think that representation still has to be based on merit. We want to make sure that there's a diverse workplace. I want to see more gender diversity in the workplace. And I think that it's fair to have affirmative action. Because let's face it, even with the so-called 30% gender targets right now, you're not even meeting that 30%. So imagine if you didn't have the target. Imagine if you didn't have a policy of gender diversification or diversification in the workplace, then it'll even be even worse. And to me, it's a question of economic resources. If our universities, 60% are girls, are ladies, and yet when they go to the workplace at the senior level, it's the other way around, that means that a huge number of ladies who are qualified, smart, and they should be running the country are doing something else. There's something wrong there. It's a waste of resources. So, short answer, I'm for affirmative action. Are you for affirmative action?
Yes, I'm of course.
Yeah.
I'm fans of KJ, so everything that KJ likes, I also like. All right. So, as mentioned by KJ is a fan of affirmative action. And tonight, KJ, since you mentioned like that, I really believe nanti if within 10 years or 20 years, when you become the Prime Minister, people will quote back what you mentioned tonight. Ingat, KJ is fans of affirmative action. Now, KJ, you have elaborated to us how we can improve the students' marketability, and you have enlightened us how it should be done to enhance the students' employability. Now, I think the next question would be straight up simple. When it comes to the issue of students' employability, which stakeholder that is shouldering the responsibility to ensure the students' marketability? So the question is, who should bear this responsibility?
Comes back to demand side and supply side. On the supply side, it's the students, it's the university, and it's the support ecosystem within education in Malaysia, which means all the way from secondary school right up to university, primary school, secondary school, all the way to university. So those are the institutes. The government is involved. The government, of course, preparing, teaching teachers, training teachers, making sure that our schools are teaching the right things, the right subjects at foundation education, secondary education, all the way to universities. So these are the people who are responsible on the supply side. On the demand side, equally important is employers and also the government. And employers, you have to start demanding that employers pay better salaries. This paying 2,000 ringgit, which is barely above a livable wage in Kuala Lumpur, is ridiculous, and we must change that. We must continue to push. I think the government is trying to do the right thing with the progressive wage model, although it's voluntary, opt-in. But it's a start. It's a start to try to push people to pay more, because you need to have better wages for graduates. Secondly, you have to get the government to also create more economically complex jobs in the market so that you are not underemployed when you leave university. What does that mean? That means what we are doing today, again, a good thing that the government is doing in terms of positioning Malaysia to get more investments in AI, in semiconductors. See the Prime Minister going all over the world, trying to woo big companies to set up their factories here. This is a good thing. Yeah, I'm a critic of the government sometimes, but when it's doing the right thing, I say they're doing the right thing. I try to be fair. And this is a good thing, because they're trying to create more economically complex jobs in the marketplace. When they announced the National Energy Transition Roadmap, it's a good thing, because we want to create more jobs in the green economy. We want to make sure that we are a leading nation when it comes to energy transition, from fossil fuels to renewable energy. So that's a good thing in creating economic complexity in Malaysia, making sure that there are better jobs. So everyone has a part to play, but I think, as students, you have to be idealistic and continue to demand. Yeah, it's not wrong for you to demand that employers, governments should pay more, should create better jobs. That's something that you guys need to push for. Of course, I'll be there to lend my voice so that you get better jobs when you graduate out of university. Otherwise, the cycle recurs. If you want to be a high nation economy, it's not easy. You have to be productive. But if that productivity that you are doing is not repaid by higher wages, then we don't become a high-income economy. Forever, wages are suppressed because the people who own the companies, capital owners, take the profits. They don't want to share it with the workers. That's not right. So the whole structure of the economy has to change.
Thank you very much. So I really like when KJ mentioned students need to be demanding. Remember, students need to be demanding, not just being part to root and follow everything. Now, before I'm moving on to the final question, I believe that after this we will have Q&A session, and I really hope there will be interesting question from the audience, because moderator kan kita tak boleh nak tanya soalan kontroversi. So I really hope that controversial question from the audience. All right, now KJ, moving on to the final question. I want to ask regarding key indicator to assess the university's quality. Because in IIUM, we didn't really believe that university's ranking really determined the quality of university, but instead how the graduate can contribute to the society. But since you are discussing this topic, do you agree that using employment rate as a key indicator to assess university quality and graduates' employability is equivalent to putting the needs of employers above the value of knowledge? And will this eventually put our education really in commercially driven?
Great question, Ashraf. But I think it's a balance, really, isn't it? It's a balance. Universities are a fountain of knowledge, garden of knowledge in UIA's case. But it's also a place to make sure that you are someone who's ready for the job market. I think if you don't have that also, then the purpose of a university, especially in a developing world like Malaysia, developing country like Malaysia, also fails to meet the mark. So I don't subscribe to the notion that you cannot be both things at once, which is a garden of knowledge, as well as a place for you to train people who can contribute to the economy. I think you can do both at university, and I think you must do both at universities. I understand the obsession with rankings. I know, because I've been in cabinet. I know that it's important in a sense, because that's the only sort of objective way of projecting your prestige, to say that you're number one, number two, whatever it is. I understand, but I don't think it's everything. I don't think it's everything. I want to share something with you. And don't take this the wrong way, and don't say that KJ doesn't think it's important that you don't go to a good university. But after about 10 years in the job market, nobody cares where you went to university. After about 10 years in the job market, I don't really look or ask the person where they went to university. I mean, if they're engineer, doctor, I want to make sure that they're a good engineer or doctor, that they have their professional qualification, but I don't really ask. I've dropped, when I speak, and I'm going to Korea on Monday because I have to speak at an international conference, and when you go to an international conference, selalu dia bagi buku program, and then of course, dia punya biography, berjela-jela biography dia, and then, I've stopped saying where I went to university because it doesn't matter. I'm 48 years old. I went to university a lifetime ago. If I have not progressed in the last, 30 years as a human being, and I'm still, hanging on to that prestige of where I went to university, then I'm not worthy as a human being. Yeah, I went to a particular university in the 1990s. Who cares? Nobody cares anymore. Yeah, I was a student at that university. So what? So my point is that yes, it's important that you have a good university education, but once you're out there, after a while, that's secondary already, because that was your foundation, your basis to graduate. Then you start getting your experience. Then you start proving yourself as somebody worthwhile in your career. So coming back to Ashraf's questions about rankings, yeah, okay, I understand the obsession about rankings, but to me, it's not the end-all and be-all. If you come out of a university that's ranked 30, but your CV looks good to me, I'll give you an interview. Just as much as I'll give somebody who came out with a university degree from the #1 university in the world. So I'm much less focused on the prestige of that university. Coming to the employability question, ni soalan menarik lah, because all the faculties will say my faculty ada 100% employability rate and all that, but we end where we started, guys, which is to say that 4 out of 10 Malaysians are underemployed. So I don't know if your 100% employability rate is actually good employability rate. So unless we have statistics from that faculty or that university that employability rate is a high quality employability rate, then we don't really know. Because the tracer study only asks you, are you employed? Do you have a job? Or are you in further education, master's or PhD? Kita tak tahu. So, kalau dia jawab, yes, I have a job, whether they are employed, setimpal ataupun standing dengan dia punya qualification or not. So the answer is maybe. Maybe it's useful, maybe it's not useful. Unless you have better quality data on the employability rate, then we don't know. So I would always ask Mohi, Minister of Higher Education, to give better data. The tracer study has to be better for us to understand where that person is, how well they're doing, whether they're employed and not underemployed.
Thank you very much, Brother KJ. So that has wrapped up all of our 6 questions from the organizer. Let's give a big round of applause to our speaker tonight, brothers and sisters. So I know it will be a huge dissatisfaction if we don't open the Q&A session. So we have 2 microphones here, right and left. Anyone who would like to ask question, you can come to the mic, mention your name, your kuliah, or if you're from other university, you boleh mention juga daripada university mana, and you can proceed with the question. So KJ, are you ready to listen the first question? I believe ramai ni. But before going to that, I mentioned that I hope there will be controversial session. But unfortunately, KJ, the committee has already PM me. Can you remind them that the question must be non-controversial? So, I really hope we will have good question. If we have any question from the audience, you can come to the mic, right or left here. Yes.
It's okay, guys. You can ask whatever you want. Don't worry. It's.
There is on KJ.
I can understand. I can understand why a committee has said that. That's their job. But I'm overruling. See, you can ask whatever you want. It's okay.
All right.
Life is not life without controversy.
Thank you very much, KJ. See you there.
So my question to
Very good question. Very, very good question. So roughly half or less go to university or diploma, and roughly half or more don't go to university or diploma in every cohort. Roughly. Yeah, some years it differs, but roughly it's like that. And I want to say something to young people. It's okay not to go to university. It's okay. I don't want there to be a starting point in society where you must go to university. You know why? Because not everyone is suited to go to university. And I don't want you to feel that it is a mark of failure or shortcoming in your life that you did go to university. But there are things that we need to do in society to make sure that people who didn't go to university don't feel that they are any less and that they have as good a career and life as someone has gone to university. How do we do that? We do that by creating alternative pathways to success. And that's what we've done in government with varying degrees of success. Some things have worked, some things have not worked. Of course, it's a work in progress. As with anything else in government, it's a work in progress. Bukan semua benda dibuat sebelum ni, bukan semua benda baru nak dibuat oleh kerajaan hari ni. Some things are works in progress. So what do I mean by alternate paths of success? So for instance, there are kids, and I know this firsthand because I worked at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. At the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we have what is known as IKBN, Institute Kemahiran Belia Negara. IKBN is one of those institutes that the government funds, which fulfills TVET education, technical and vocational education and training. So there are many TVET institutes. There are some under Sumber Manusia, Kementerian Sumber Manusia, Kesuma, Institute Latihan Perindustrian, for instance. There are some under MARA, there are some under other different ministries, but these are known as TVETs. So what we have done is to try to make the TVET pathway an alternative pathway for people who just are not suited to university. You know that their core competency is not a degree, and it's okay. They are no less stupid. I hate that word, but they are no less stupid. They are just good at other things, and we have to recognize that they are good at other things and make sure that they become the best version of a technical and vocational pathway that we can do. And we always point to countries like Germany and where they have this dual parallel pathway where you either go academic or vocational, and we can suit the system to Malaysia. So what I did at KBS, Kementerian Belia dan Sukan, Ministry of Youth and Sports, is work with industry to upgrade the curriculum, the standard stuff, to make sure that, I went to IKBN in Chembong, which was my constituency in Rembau, worked with Mercedes and Produa to make sure that the course that we were teaching for automotive is exactly what was needed by these companies. So when they come out of IKBN, they are employed immediately. And some of them were pre-employed already in the IKBN. Work together closely with industry to say that you design the curriculum for us. Upgrade it every quarter, every 3 months. We upgrade the curriculum, sit down with industry, change the curriculum so that when they come out, they're employed. And when they get better, I go to industry and say, can you make sure the starting pay is more? It went up from 1,005 to 1,008 when I was in KBS, the starting pay for IKBN graduates in KBS. So that's one pathway. So open up different pathways. But tell society, and this is so important, guys, tell society that it's okay not to go to university. Of course, the message is, find another pathway. It's not okay to not go to university and not do anything and become a freeloader. That's not good for society. We want people who can contribute. But the point is, you don't have to only go to university to be able to contribute to society and the economy. It's okay, and it's good. And we have to start valuing them as very, very important members of the economy, the technicians, technical people, and they're doing just as much as people who have degrees. So that's one pathway. Another pathway is entrepreneurship. There are many people who end up with just sijil, diploma, for instance, and end up growing a business. And again, we should celebrate these people as well. and say that maybe they didn't want to waste time going to university. So I didn't mean to say waste time. Maybe they don't want to spend the time in university. They immediately wanted to go and become a business person. And I think that's great. And I think we should also celebrate that and make sure that we can support them through entrepreneur training programs, through grants, through loans, and we have all these things in the government ecosystem, and promote more of that so that people know that if I want to be an entrepreneur, kalau saya nak berniaga, tak salah pun. And I can be a good business person without having gone to university, but I have the knowledge because I enrolled in classes which taught me how to do cash flow, which taught me how to manage my inventory, which taught me how to do marketing. So these are things that I would encourage. I would say that, if you want to be an entrepreneur, upskill yourself. Don't just want to be an entrepreneur. This is the famous example that I always use. If you want to be an influencer, have something that backs that up. You can't be an influencer without any knowledge. The best influencer in Malaysia, Khairul Aming, is a graduate from Vanderbilt University in engineering, right? I mean, he has something. He has something to fall back on. So it's important that if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to make sure that you have the skills for it, and we have to make sure that we provide the opportunities for you to get that skill. Lastly, I come back to lifelong education. I believe strongly in lifelong education. I'm an example of it. I'm an example of someone who took a micro-credentialing course when I was a minister. And I'm not ashamed to share that I did that, because it's important for you to continue to upskill yourself no matter which route you take, especially if you didn't take the university route. You have to continue to upskill yourself. Now that I've keluar sekejap, I have a bit more time. I want to learn a language. So I've put an objective for myself that until I go back to politics, whenever that is, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, I add one more language in which I'm fluent, so that by the time I go back to politics, I can speak another language fluently. So I have that as my objective, and I'm working hard to make sure that I can speak that particular language. I'm not going to tell you what language it is, because I want to surprise you one day and just suddenly speak that language. Yeah, but I believe that, knowledge is there for you to absorb and to learn at any time in your life.
Thank you very much, Brother KJ. I think we will allow another one last question. Yes.
So my question is that how long should we maintain affirmative action, because sometimes people are misuse this affirmative action for their own benefit. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm going to ask you a question, so stay there. What kind of affirmative action are you talking about? Be open. Be open. It's okay.
Perhaps it's about university, our exclusive right of the Bumiputera.
Okay. So you're talking about affirmative action for Malays lah. Yeah? That's basically what it is. It's a pretty hot topic now at one of the campuses in town. Not here. And you guys are not wearing black, so okay. You can sit down now. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, it's not an easy subject to talk about, because it's very, benda ni sangat sensitive dan very emotive lah, But I'm going to give you an answer. I think that you do need some form of affirmative action that continues, and I think that it has to address two things. One, it has to address everyone, every Malaysian who needs it. What do I mean by this? I mean that you should reserve certain opportunities and places in university for kids who basically come from very, very disadvantaged backgrounds, regardless of their ethnicity or their race. That's for sure. And I think most people agree with that. Secondly, I do think there still is a place for affirmative action that is given to what now we term as Bumiputera. And that is because by and large, Bumiputras represent most of the first category. those people who need it. So even if you do the needs-based affirmative action, most people who qualify are Bumiputra. But there's a second reason why we also need to do it, which is to restructure certain imbalances in society. So many, many years ago, in the 80s and 90s, and still until today for that matter, we noticed that in certain professions, there was a disproportionate skew towards certain ethnicity in that professions. And I refer to the traditional registered professions like medicine, accountancy, engineering, law. And we realized that Bumiputras were underrepresented in those professions. That's why there was an attempt until today to make sure that for these, what we termed as critical faculties, there were quotas in those faculties. Some years we relax the quotas. Some years we play with the quotas and make sure that there are more Malay students, Bumiputra students in those quotas. And it's important to me to make sure that society is balanced. You can't have a situation where society is imbalanced, where there's a big skew. And we don't like to see big skews in Malaysia. We want to see good representation all around, which is why I always say workplace diversity is important. We want to see more non-Malays also in the civil service. We don't want to see a civil service that's just Malay, 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 Malay. We want to see more non-Malays choose the civil service. By the same token, there was a study published about 10 years ago now, probably, saying that there was a bias in private sector employment, especially in companies that were owned by non-Malays. They tend to hire non-Malays and non-Malays. So again, there was a bias. And these biases create structural problems that lead to lack of diversity in the workplace. So that's why I am still for affirmative action. Now, how can the affirmative action be fair? That's your question, really. Your question, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the heart of your question is that kalau kita ada affirmative action, how can we make sure that budak yang kaya yang ada kabel tak dapat benda tu? Basically, that's it. And I think we need to work hard to make sure affirmative action goes to people who deserve it. Who deserve it. That's the point. The point is there's nothing wrong with the policy. There sometimes is a problem with its implementation. Its implementation is a rich kid getting something that he should not be getting. Of course, if the scholarship is merit-based, and that kid comes from a rich family, and it's a merit-based scholarship for the top student, it's tough to argue. But if it's something that's reserved for, the whole spirit of, as an example, a residential college like MRSM is for kids from poor families first. So that's the priority. So I think in the past, the concern has been, how come this person gets it? He comes from a pretty well-off, rich family. And that's when affirmative action loses the spirit of why it was there in the first place. So my point to you is that I don't think the problem is with the policy. I think the problem sometimes, and the weakness sometimes, is with its implementation. And I think we can correct that implementation. And I think that there is still a role for affirmative action in Malaysia, for poor people, for kids who come from very, very difficult backgrounds of all races, but also to redress the imbalance between the communities in Malaysia. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Brother KJ. Thank you very much to all who asked the question, very quality questions. And that has marked the end of our event tonight. But before I pass this session back to the MC, I would like to highlight a few key points as takeaway from our event tonight. Number one, students, we need to prepare ourselves to face the reality of the market demands, the reality of the industry, and the reality of the world. Number two, though there are some arguments that universities nowadays just produce workers and employees, but actually not. Universities need to produce human with values of humanity, values of kindness, and values of deeds. Number three, students, life is not all about winning, but life is all about how we face the difficulties. Life is all about how we make a comeback after all blood, sweat, and tears, because that is life. And our broski here has proved to us that losing an election is not the end of the world. I think that's all from me. ما أصابك من حسنة فمن الله وما أصابك من سيئة فمن نفسك. Thank you everyone. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ashraf. That was wonderful.
All right. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, our program is now nearing its end. Now, for token of appreciation session, I would like to invite our Honorable Dr. Shamshina, accompanied by Program Manager Sister Alicia, to present token of appreciation to our panelists, moderator, and also our VIP today. Tafadol. Brothers and sisters, wait ya, photography session is right after this. Sabar, eh? The first one, our broski KJ Jamaluddin Abu Bakar. So many token needs to be brought home today, eh? Wow, all right. Flowers for KJ. All right, next, to our moderator, Brother Ashraf Hakim. For our esteemed VIP who is willing to be with us tonight, Tuan Muhammad Zaid bin Muhammad Ibrahim, Principal, Setiabudi Secondary School. All right, now I would like to ask all the VIPs to stay on stage. We'll now have a photography session for the VIPs. Brother Ashraf, you need to get into the picture as well. Okay. All right, now give the loudest round of applause to all of them. Okay, now I would like to invite all VIPs to come down the stage. We would like to take pictures, photography session with all of our participants here. So now I would like to ask all brothers and sisters here stand up and move to the center of our hall to take pictures for our photography session. Tafadhol.